Peter Sweden here. The madness in Sweden continues. So there's been even more bombings. Recently I made a video about how there's been 7 bombings in just 12 days in Sweden. Well, now some more days have gone by and there's been even more bombings going on in Sweden. So let me update you guys on what's been happening in Sweden the last few weeks. So there's now been, in just 20 days, there has been, well, 21 days it is. In just 21 days there has been 11 bombings in Sweden. Let that sink in. So for the first 7 bombings, I did a detailed video about that. You can see that in the description below. But after that, there's been a few more. So on the 22nd of October, there was 2 bombings in Malmö, which happened out at family apartments. And these happened in no-go areas in Malmö as well. So there were family apartments, the entrances there were bombed. I believe they say a really powerful firework called Banger was used, and it did some serious damage, and it was really loud. So those were those were 2 bombings that happened within the space of just a few hours in Malmö. Then tonight we had a few more bombings. So this was in the Swedish city of Hässleholm. So there were 2 cars that were bombed just hours apart in the city of Hässleholm. The first one happened at 11 o'clock tonight, which was, well, that was on the 31st of October. And then a few hours later, on the 1st of November, at 1 in the morning, another car was bombed. So and the police believe that these are related to a shooting that took place in the same city in July this year, where a 25-year-old man was shot. So they believe it's related to that. Exactly what, we don't know. Maybe some kind of revenge from some of the gangs. Who knows? But yeah. So bomb was placed on a car, and the car blew, and the car blew up. One of the cars had a whole bonnet blown off, as you can see in the picture here. It was quite big damage that happened. So what's going on here in Sweden now? We have had 11 bombings in 21 days. It's like the wave of bombings are just continuing in Sweden. It's just completely insane. I mean, something needs to be. So you would think this is. I mean, if I told you that there had been 11 bombings in 21 days in a country, which country would you think this was? Well, you would probably say to me, I don't know, Afghanistan or something. Somalia. But no, this is Sweden. It's a Western country in Europe. It's happening right in Europe. It's almost like there is a war going on in Sweden, and if you didn't know it already, the people behind these bombings are the gangs, which very often are migrant gangs that are behind these bombings and all of the shootings and so on in Sweden. They are the ones that operate in these no-go zones, and basically, from what I understand, it seems like, well, the police have had a lot of trouble recently. You know, there was a police station that was bombed in Helsingborg. A police officer had a relative kidnapped earlier this year, and just recently it was in the news that a police officer at his own private home, someone opened fire with an automatic machine gun through his house. While his family was there as well. So there seems to be some of these gangs are targeting the police, but they're also fighting each other. So that's what it seems to be related to, these car bombings that happened tonight in Hässleholm. So it's really getting out of hand in Sweden. You would almost think like there's I mean, with that amount of bombings that happened just the last 20 days, you would think, you would almost think there's a war going on in Sweden, and I mean, to these gangs, it probably is. That's probably what they see it as. They see it as this kind of turf. This is their area. I mean, they see this as you know, as areas that they want to control. You know, where all the weapons, drugs, and so on go through them, and they don't want the police meddling in any of their business. I mean, it's absolutely insane what's going on in Sweden. When are people going to wake up? The only solution here, and well, it is kind of a positive development from the moderate party in Sweden. They are so-called right-wing, but they're not really very right-wing at all. They have actually, suggested that they should deploy the military into some of these suburbs, they call them. They mean no-go zones. They don't want to use the term no-go zone because, well, many Swedish people don't even know that no-go zones exist in Sweden because they don't use the term. In Sweden they try and keep it quiet from the people. That's what the mainstream media is doing. And yeah, anyway, they call it suburbs, but they actually suggest deploying the military into some of these areas, and I think that is the only solution. They need to deploy the military into these areas and clear them out of these gangs, and deport any migrant that is part of these gangs or have been caught doing anything criminal. Any migrant asylum seeker that has been doing that should be deported, and if there is any Swedish people, I mean, they should be jailed up. What do you think, guys? What's your opinion on this? Leave a comment below. Like this video. It's good for the YouTube ratings. More people will see it. Subscribe if you haven't done so for more videos like this. And also make sure to go and follow me on Twitter. At PeterSweden7 on Twitter. So make sure to follow me there. And I'll see you guys later.